So back to the Kings, because that's kind of like what I want to finish the convo on. It's like where are they? Like where are they in the development and the ascension? Like optimism level from 1 to 10 this year. Obviously, you're not going to do much besides maybe fight for a plan seed. But like, where do you guys rank the optimism for the future of this franchise? Because I think it's actually probably, and you're in a better spot right now than probably we are. Portland is.
Yeah, it was weird to hear you say had when you were referring to CJ and Dame. That was like, oh, that's right. They had
Yeah.
wild. Yeah, I think you're right. Than Portland. I think this year, and this is the frustrating, consequence of being a Kings fan or someone who covers the Kings is you root for good things to happen, but you realize what we saw over the course of the last week or so won't be able to be measured until. And obviously, we hope Monty McNair has a successful offseason and is able to add a couple of more pieces that still desperately needs. They're still really bad defensively.
Who would
They
that
need a
be?
shooter. Who would the target? Who would the addition be? I don't know. The guy who just got traded to Brooklyn would be really ideal. Who I don't know that he started. I know Seth Curry has a Sacramento Kings jersey somewhere. He would be ideal here because he's smart and he can shoot. Like he has a high basketball IQ. He could run. He can, and this is a phrase Kenny and I are so sick of hearing, but he could spread the floor. He can open things up a little bit for Sabonis and Harrison Barnes, who has played pretty well with the exception of that Brooklyn game. Since these different acquisitions have come over. But I think that, if the Kings wind up getting to the 10th spot, that's cool because it means they've played better since the trade. It means they're on an uptick. But really the measurement of all of this is going to be how they start next season. And of course, you don't want to face plant either the rest of the way. Like we know there are shortcomings on the Kings, but we also think that they got better over the course of the last week. So they need to finish with a high over the course of the last 20 some odd games, and they started the first 50 some. Measurement of what we've seen is all about next year.
Yeah, the level of optimism for the Kings in the city and with people that follow this team like myself and Damien, I mean, it's done a complete 180 over the course of the last week and a half. I mean, it was looking dreadful with the group that they had, with the prospects of, probably being in the top 7 again in the draft, but not being bad enough to be top 3 or something like that, needing a miracle. It was looking dreadful. And then they make a deal. They get a guy like Sabonis. And like Damien just pointed out, this year, yes, you want to compete. You want to play well because it's there for you. Maybe you can get but it's really gave so much optimism for next year, this summer. You have Sabonis, you have De'Aaron Fox, you've got Harrison Barnes, who's rejuvenated and put into a different light with this particular trade with Sabonis coming to fruition. And now you've got situations where we got a little more spending money. We have assets to trade. We love him out here, but we don't know if it fits. Rashawn Holmes, you pair that with the first round pick that I don't want to say you don't need to use, but because you have somebody like Sabonis, who's only 25 years old, and you can look at him and Fox, you could pair that first round pick, which could be a top 10 pick, with the Rashawn Holmes to get another possible big fish. You ask who? Some people have talked about like Miles Bridges, see if you could work out a sign and trade with Charlotte for them and bolster the roster that way. And there's something that people talk about with Chicago, and it just stays in my head. My partner's probably tired of me talking about it every day. But they talk about Chicago last year when they got Vucevic. They got him, missed the playoff, and they had him in Zach LaVine. And they talk about how having two guys was a better presentation for somebody like DeMar DeRozan to say, hey, you're not going to have to come in it on your shoulders. We've got two guys already. We just need you to complete that triangle. And now with Sabonis and Fox, whether it's with free agency or through trade, the Kings may be able to do that this summer. Go to somebody like a DeRozan type player and say, hey, come here, complete this triangle and then help get us into a legitimate playoff spot, not just the play-in situation. So it's a long-winded way of saying they've kind of changed the outlook on everything in about a week.
A point guard who can literally see everything before you do.
Right.
And like
Right.
just an extraordinary passer. Like he sees the court. Like they set table so beautifully for free agency this year.
and a guy who we've stolen from LA because they're so intent to not pay the luxury tax on him and
Uh,
Alex Caruso, and he's going to be the heartbeat and the soul of your team, and
Mm-hmm.
you're going to just absolutely call him the GOAT
Yeah.
as a role player. So yeah, I think that it's an interesting and exciting time, especially I think like I really like Sabonis, but the fact that you don't have to deal with Marvin Bagley and Buddy Hield anymore is just like you get rid of so much drama, and you're seeing that with the Nets too, right? Like you got rid of Harden, who's one of the best scorers and playmakers in the league, but everyone hated him. Like he was doing dumb shit on and off the court. He
Right.
did not want to be there. I heard a story that he was in the hotel either in Utah or Denver. I always get him confused, and had all kinds of shenanigans going on when he wasn't playing. And so you get guys who are off the team and Tristan Thompson who have had their share of drama. Like nobody wants to see their teammate in the headlines like that.
Yeah.
Like just adds like a level of gray clouds to the party that's already not like doesn't have a lot of drinks already. You only have one kind of chips. You know, people aren't really trying to come to that kind of a party.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Unless they're down for what Tristan's down for.
And look, I've been somewhat critical of De'Aaron Fox's leadership skills throughout the course of the season, but I'm gonna stall him out a little bit here. And everything that you talked about with Bagley, Buddy not running plays and doing stuff like that, and TT in the tabloids every week. Somebody like De'Aaron Fox is probably sitting there like, "What the hell is going on here? Like, what the hell is going on?" So, yeah.
There
when
it
Mary
is.
sa-
There it is again.
when Mary sang "No More Drama" at the Super Bowl, she did that for us.
No
She
doubt.
was speaking directly to Sacramento Kings fans.
All right.
No more drama.
Damn ridiculous.
No
I,
more.
I
no
love
more
Chrome, but they're
drama.
not treating me well right now.
It's wild. No, and I think for me, as like someone who watches De'Aaron Fox, I wouldn't say like decide to kind of just chuck the deuces in the middle of the season and say, you guys need to sort some things out before I come back.
Well.
But like I get that. Like you're a winner. You've won at every level to a degree, right? Like you've been the man, and you come to a place that you probably didn't want to go to begin with, and then it sort of deteriorates, and then you're like, I don't even know how this could get better, you know?
Yeah.
And I guess the final question that I have for you guys is, what's your prediction for who coaches this team in a year
Oh.
from now?
Can we just?
That's
I
crazy.
don't know.
Prediction and like greatest hope or like your wish list.
Yeah,
This is where it gets tricky.
Well, look,
yeah.
Damien, I'll say this. I don't know if it's Damien's hope. I don't know if it's people's hope. Now that they got some players in here, you can sell it on not being a disaster. I think it might be Doug Christie.
So yeah, see, this is because I love Doug, and I have a just endless amount of respect for Alvin. I felt like this a couple of weeks ago. I still feel the same. You have to rid yourself of the entire coaching staff. This, and it's where the Kings are this season on Luke Walton, though I didn't think he was a good coach. And on Alvin Gentry, I don't blame it on Rico Hines, Doug Christie, Stacy, Mike, anyone else who's here. It's just it doesn't work. Hire a head coach, allow that head coach to hire their entire from top to bottom without the organization stepping in and saying, "Oh, no, we're going to need you to keep this guy around though." Because that's immediately going to put this thing in the Kings.
That's what happened with the Pacers when he kept
Bornstein? What was his name?
Yeah,
what's his
Nate
name?
Bjorkgren kept a couple of guys in, and one of them ended up leaving in the middle of the season due to quote unquote mental health issues, and basically saying that Nate Bjorkgren was hated by all the players. He's talking to Woj. Now Nate Bjorkgren ends up losing his job because you've got this whisper campaign that wasn't even close to true. And now Nate Bjorkgren is back in Toronto as an assistant coach instead of doing what he should be doing, which is running the Pacers. And now you have an old school coach like Rick Carlisle in, who's great, like, but isn't the biggest players coach either, you know.
Well,
So.
I need some behind the scenes footage of Rick Carlisle and Buddy Hield. Like, give me that. Like, that's what I'm here for. Give me that on Inside the NBA. Let me see Rick Carlisle's
Give me that
reaction to
on.
some of what he
Get a
does.
Patreon for that.
Please.
So who is it? You want to see like a young gun, like
I
a
don't-
David Vanderpool come in, or like a Kenny Atkinson who like gets guys to develop and work
Maybe like
hard? Or
Kenny Atkinson is definitely going to be a name Kings fan. Vanderpool is someone that I wanted in the last hiring. Those are all like I think those are probably the top two on the list, Kenny Atkinson and David Vanderpool. But outside of that, I mean, I feel like Sam Cassell is now kind of morphing into the Eric Bieniemy category, where it's like, yeah, I guess this dude just isn't getting a job. I guess he's just going to continue to be like a high-end assistant across the league. So I don't really know how that works, but I probably David Vanderpool, Kenny. Right now, early D'Lo coaching power rankings. Kenny Atkinson's probably second. Sam Cassell will still be on the. Why that's taking so long, and those.
and
would be
who's
the,
number one right now on your power ranking?
David Vanderpool.
David Vanderpool.
Yeah, he's number one.
Yours, Kenny, is Doug Christie. Is that number one?
I think that's who's gonna get it. I wouldn't mind seeing Doug Christie there. I like Damien. I've been a big fan of Sam Cassell. I think he should get his opportunity with one of these teams in the league. So I wouldn't mind seeing Sam Cassell. That'd probably be my favorite if I had to pick number one.
The is a lot of people will see that hire. A lot of people here will see that hire and believe that it wasn't made by Monty McNair.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't made by Monty McNair, the Kings they're continuing with the same issues that they've had for the last 7 or 8 years.
Right.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing what ends up happening. It's always a pleasure. I will see you guys Friday. Well, I'm sure we'll have plenty to discuss.
Trysta, when we getting you in Sacramento, man, come on, you gotta come to the Golden One Center. You gotta pull up, with champagne and campaign, have a good time. Come on, you gotta come out here.
I would like to do that. I don't know if you guys know this, but I'm locked into a studio, and they just like make me stay there.
I believe it.
Hopefully soon. Hopefully soon. How about we plan for Summer League? Because the Sacramento one is first.
Okay.
And then I
Yeah.
can go from that one to the Vegas one in a
100%.
fell swoop. So I would
Done
say
deal.
July then.
Absolutely.
Done deal.
We'll make that
Done
happen.
deal.
Done deal.
The Summer League, I'm with it.
Yeah.
D'Lo and Casey here with me on the Heat Check. We'll have to do this again, guys. You can find them on ESPN 1320 from 12 to 4 p.m. Pacific time. So that's 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, because that's what I'm rocking at. Make sure you follow I am K Diddy on Twitter, and Damien with an E, Barling, Barling on Twitter. Anything else you guys need to plug?
No.
Trey Lance is good.
Okay.
Um,
How good
there
is
you
the
go.
question? On that note, guys, we will talk to you soon.